evening, everyone. Good evening. I would like to call this meeting to order. Our first item tonight is the approval of the agenda. Did everybody get a chance to review it?
Second.
All in favor? Say aye. Aye. Any nays? All right, moving on. Next, we have approval of the minutes.
Motion for approval of minutes as presented?
Second.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. All right, next item is our director's report, new business, old business. Williamsburg property update.
So before we get to Williamsburg, I just real quickly wanted to go over my report real quick with you. We're going to talk about Williamsburg in just a second. I want to let you know where we are and what it is we're doing in the Parks Department. If you haven't noticed, and I know some have, they've mentioned already tonight, we are like 99% complete with getting the decorations, the ornaments up around the city. We're excited about that. It takes us a little over 2 weeks to do something like that, and it's quite a job. Just so you know, if you have some ornaments near you or where you ride by that aren't working, feel free to call us. We do now go out at night and we'll start looking at each road, and obviously there will be an ornament here or there that's not working properly, and we'll address that. It's very difficult, obviously, to do that during the daytime when they're not working until the night comes. But if you see some out, feel free to give us a call. Yes.
One additional comment on that. As you know, the community is actually served by Duke Power and Jones Onslow. The areas that have street lights, traffic lights, Christmas lights, or all three of those things. But if you see that certain parts of town do not have Christmas lights, it's because they're on the Jones Onslow system.
Right.
We have never been able to establish an agreement with Jones Onslow because it's not in their tariff. As you know, they have to have approval for all their rates. Last year, we brought this to their attention. We're in the process of trying to rectify that. It is doubtful that we will have any of those lights up in the Jones Onslow territory this year, but it is hopeful that by next Christmas, we will have that accomplished. So, for example, if you're driving down Country Club and you see lights up to a certain point and then suddenly no Christmas lights, well, guess what? You just learned the demarcation point between the Duke Power franchise and the Jones Onslow franchise. So, Michael, go ahead.
Thank you. Susan, I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about this. They are wrapped up their softball, baseball programs for the fall. So what does that mean to us? Ball fields are still important, but we'll be working heavily on what we call our park cleanup. That's restrooms, playgrounds, shelters, getting them back up in a running manner where when spring rolls around and the sun comes back out, they'll be ready for another year of activity. So just be aware of that. If you've noticed, or maybe you haven't, out at Riverwalk Park, there's a contractor down there and they're doing some irrigation work presently. Hopefully that will be done in the next couple of weeks. And then we'll put some new grass down there, and that park will transform into even a better looking park than what we've seen today. So I just want to give you some heads up on those sorts of things. Are there any quick questions on that? Okay. Now, on December 15th this year, it's a pretty cool day for all of us, and that is our 25th anniversary of having the Jacksonville Commons dedicated. And I wanted to make sure y'all knew that. 25 years ago. For some of us, it's yesterday. For some of us, they probably never even knew that. The Commons, when it was built, when council at that time had the foresight to decide to buy that property and do what they've eventually done out there, that was a pretty big deal for all of us. For people that are from Jacksonville and live in Jacksonville, and it's a great stepping stone. And really, what's it a stepping stone to? And that is Williamsburg Park. If you're not aware, and I'm sure all of you are, recently council made a decision to purchase 400 acres of property, and that is what I refer to as a multi-generational purchase. This is 100 years of recreation and parks. That's the impact that this is going to have on this community, and that can't be understated, and we're all should be excited about that and the opportunities that lie ahead with such a piece of property. So what are we going to do with that property out there? You know, what we need to do is address, as you can see, what are our needs as a department? What are the needs for the residents of Jacksonville? How do we make sure we're taking care of our residents? That's one of our priorities. I'm sure that's your priority too. Obviously, securing land for the future quality of life. Obviously, we're not going to go out there and build out 250 acres in 1 year. This will take time to develop all this property, and that's why I say this is a purchase for a long, long time ahead of us, for your children's children's children. And we'll build out there like we did at the Commons, and then we'll add and we'll add and we'll add. I would imagine that's pretty much how this is going to go, and I'm excited about it. I'm sure you're excited about it. I know Susan's excited about it and what it can lead to for our community. It's a very exciting time. And what are those opportunities in the future? Well, they could be complexes, much like, and this is a picture of the property if you haven't seen it. Complexes, whether they're softball or baseball or soccer or whatever those things are. We're just at the ground stages, and I know that the mayor has a committee, and they're going to get together and create what I refer to as a vision for us, with input from many different people, yourself included. And it's going to lead us down a road that is going to be beneficial to everybody in our community, and that's what's the most important thing. And we need to take care of our community, we need to take care of Jacksonville, and we'll go from there. So some of those needs I just talked about, whether they're rectangular fields for soccer or lacrosse or flag football, or even, we talked earlier tonight, rugby, baseball, softball fields, both youth and adult, trails for biking, challenge courses, fitness courses, things like that. Those are just some of the things we're talking about right now. And we're sure we'll talk about other things moving forward, but those are things that we already know will be beneficial to Jacksonville. And what you see here is an example of what a piece of that piece of property could look like. You see that round area on the left, which is basically baseball diamonds, softball fields, whatever you want to call them, where if you did want to host a tournament and bring in some tourism for this community to help us out and help pay for this, then there's an opportunity there. There's also opportunities for our leagues to utilize something like this. And I know one of the things that we struggle with sometimes is we have various age groups in our leagues, and parents aren't able to be in one area at all times because of that. And in today's world, that's very important. We need to be cognizant of that. A facility like this, you could have multiple sports and still be within walking distance of children at different ages playing different sports. You can see on the right-hand side, another example would be whether they're, we can call them football fields, we can call them lacrosse fields, we can call them soccer fields, we can call them practice fields. The intent is to have open space fields that are available for us to utilize in our community. And I think that's the most important takeaway from this, is that we're going to have facilities to serve our public, and that's very important moving forward. So how did we go about this? How did we go about creating money for this? So you see the cost of the property, 400 acres for $204 million. $204 million sounds like a lot of money, but it's really not when you break it down. I'm not allowed to do math either in public, but I think it's around 5,000 to 6,000 an acre, give or take, something somewhere near that, which isn't a whole lot of money, or especially for the potential bang our community gets from it. So we are looking at selling a piece of property at the Jacksonville Commons, and it's a small corner piece of property. It's not something we currently utilize. That will be a good source of revenue to help pay for this. We've also will use $1.4 million from the general fund balance to help with the sale of this. Obviously, we've probably already spent that money or are in the process of doing that. And so the general fund absorbs some of this. And then how do we pay it back? The city has a tax program where there's 4 cents each year for council and the manager. I believe I'm right in saying that, utilizing that money in certain ways, and we're going to utilize it to help pay for this property, the $1.4 million, to pay ourselves back. So really, we're just borrowing money from ourselves, which I think is a great avenue to do your business. And then we have some additional property at the Commons that may be able to be sold. Maybe you've heard about the potential apartment complexes that may be built over there. And if that works itself out and happens, and we'll know that by probably the next time we meet, the potential there is to create some more revenue to help pay for this. We also have some other parks. We have some property in Williamsburg that we currently own, about 17 acres, and we have some property at Carolina Forest. I'm not saying we're going to sell them, but those are properties that we need to be looking at and deciding whether or not there's value for us to continue to hold on to those properties, or to see if they're potential pieces of property we can let go of because of purchases like 400 acres. Do you have any questions for anything right now?
Mayor's going to make some comments.
Okay. Mayor?
I'm gonna walk up here to the podium, stand next to you in case you can tell me something new. I don't think I will.
Okay.
Thank you for allowing me a few minutes to speak, and I'm not gonna drag this on because Mike covered it pretty well. But this all started maybe 3 or 4 years ago when the city and the county got together and assigned a couple of our representatives to meet and look at the possibility of a sports complex, locate one. And the best that came back to us was Burton Park. Okay, Burton Park's a nice area. It's a good industrial park, the county government buildings out there. But the one thing about it is, if you've been out there, it's a long ways from Jacksonville when you really look at the mileage that has to be put in there. And the other thing is, Western Boulevard has built up. This property actually, if you go down Western Boulevard, go across Gun Branch Road, going into Williamsburg, it's back in that back area there behind Lowe's Foods in that area. Now, the one thing, I know that there will probably be some tourism money also eventually go into this. And tourism money is raised, as you know, by the hotels and restaurants and all those people that serve. And where are most of them at? Western Boulevard. So my thing was, why would I want to route these people out to Burton Park, where there's no cut through? There's no chance that we'll ever go straight through with Western Boulevard because of the expense. I think they said at one time it was $200 million just across the wetlands. And DOT's been real good to us, but I don't think they would probably go for that. But the other thing is, it just seemed that it would be well sited somewhere in Jacksonville. But the problem we had was finding a large enough property. That was the big thing, a large enough property. And by gosh, I thought we had it nailed down there at one time, because Hoffman Forest they originally said they wanted to donate this ideal land on Ramsey Road that backs up to Carolina Forest, was going to donate it here. It was 150 acres, I believe, wasn't it, Richard? Give it to us. Well, I guess they went back and thought about it, and they decided that, well, nah, we're not going to give it away. We'll lease it to you. Well, you know, you don't want to build a lot of infrastructure on something that you may eventually have to turn over back to the original owner. So we felt that leasing the property was not the way for us to go. Then this opportunity came up in the Williamsburg area. A great opportunity, 400 acres. You know, some of it's wetlands, of course, but, you know, there's still quite a bit of buildable land back there. So we decided, the council decided to make this purchase. And as Mike said, it was $2.4 million. 1.4 million of it was coming from the sale of land to James Mades, who was going to build some affordable housing in the Commons, and $1 million from one place who was buying 8 acres of land in the Commons to put their new facility. So right there, you got $2.4 million that's covered this whole thing, this land purchase, and we haven't had to raise taxes. That doesn't happen very often, that you have opportunities like that. So we kind of seized on that. And so Mike covered about everything else as far as what the vision is. It's long-term. It's futuristic. You know, Jacksonville's been here since 1849. That's when we were incorporated, if anybody remembers that far back. But 1849, it's been a right good while. And the city's grown a lot since then. But talking about growth, you know, we have since the state legislature decided to do away with involuntary annexation, which, you know, sometimes I kind of feel like that was a good move on their part. You know, people shouldn't have their land taken involuntarily. But, you know, we're planning on running a redundant sewer line. This is in our CIP, right? CIP. And it will extend from 17 North down, what's the name of the road?
Western all the way across to 258.
No, the road, I'm drawing a blank. I've been drawing too many blanks here lately. The road beyond Western Boulevard, behind Carolina Forest. Ramsey Road, I'm sorry. There we go, Ramsey Road. Okay, we'll run down Ramsey Road and then cross Western Boulevard, as you said, and go out to our land treatment site on Fire Tower Road. So what does that mean? What does that have to do with anything? Well, it has to do with growth. You know, there's a lot of opportunity for growth. No involuntary annexations, but people do want water and sewer, and that's something we can provide. So there's that opportunity there for growth to expand the city. We know that besides that, there's a lot of plans to build additional housing in the northwestern area of the city. I'm talking about in the area over there, Williamsburg, over by the church over there, the River of Life Church, the new River of Life Church, all that back there. I think that's 700 houses are planned to go back there. So you can see that we're growing, and the need is going to expand as far as our recreational services. Right now, I think I'm going to ask these guys right now, do you have enough fields to do what you have to do?
No.
You don't, do you?
No.
Okay. I've seen kids practicing on vacant lots, and seen them practicing on a field over there that belongs to River of Life, and they've been very gracious about letting them practice over there, but you know, eventually that property is going to get sold, so they'll have to go somewhere else, and they don't have anywhere else. So there's a need there to expand these recreational services. And we, at our last council meeting, the council decided to form a committee of council members, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Bob Warden, and myself. And we're going to do the initial ground pounding, I like to think of it as, to determine, you know, what steps that we need to take right on the onset. First thing is, we got to figure out a way to get in there. We also have an issue that we're going to have to deal with, and that's crossing wetlands with that's permitted through 23. Is that correct? So that's going to have to be number one priority, is being able to get in there before the permit expires, which would probably be very expensive to get it renewed.
Excuse me, would it have to start or be completed by 23?
Has to be completed by
Completed.
December 31st, 2023.
Okay.
We're talking about somewhere in the neighborhood of, what, $350,000 for that. So, you know, that'll be the first thing that we'll have to tackle as a committee. But one of the things the committee's going to do is we're going to seek input from all sectors of the city, from the county, from the nonprofits that operate. We're going to be the finders of, you know, fact based on what we receive as far as information. And from there, we'll make decisions on what's going to happen with that property out there. But again, this is long-term. And, you know, a lot of that property out there won't be developed right away. It may be 10 years, 20 years down the road. But the fact that we have that property and have that opportunity to do it at a later time, I think was a very good judgment call by our city council. Does anybody have any questions so far? I know I go pretty fast, but
The only question that I do have, well, it's not really a question, it's more or less a comment. Well, I guess it could be a question. Has there been any talk of, I know this is a long-term plan, but maybe putting like a regulation-sized pool in that area?
Well, Mr. Rogers, that is one thing that can be brought into the discussion, of course. You know, if that's what the majority of people want, you know, that's probably where the council will head. You know, there's a lot of things problematic about a swimming pool.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of
course, you know,
liability.
but,
Yeah.
you know, these are things that we're going to, you know, hammer out, you know, and work with through our public, through our Recreation Advisory Committee, through the Sports Commission, through all these entities, and also people, you know, in the community. But that's a good thought.
Mayor, it's more of a statement, and I think Homer, and there's been 4 of us on this board for quite some time, and we all know there's naysayers out there. As soon as we do something, everyone wants, but as soon as somebody takes that first step, then they're all throwing their hands up in the community. So I myself, as a citizen and a person sitting on this board, a kid that's in, you know, recreation, up and down, I support this. I welcome it, I support it, and I hope the hell I'm here the next 25 years to go see what's out there and take part in it. Yeah. So I think a lot of the naysayers out there need to take a step back and really look at what this is in all our parks. I mean, we can remember when we had very few 25 years ago before the Commons came around, and there was a bunch of naysayers about that also. But I support this, and I'm ecstatic. I don't know if I was the first one that hit Susan up, but, you know, I wanted to know about it right away. So you got my vote. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm glad we did it.
Anybody that's in real estate knows that they're not making any more land, and it's not going to be any cheaper in the long run. So we had an opportunity at a time when we were able to actually pay for it, you know, without a whole lot of, without raising taxes. I mean, that's what concerns a lot of people, is the use of their tax dollars. I think this is a very prudent step as far as expanding the recreation facilities there. And the other thing too is, you know, it's going to help us meet as a city, our recreation needs, but at the same time, it'll open us up for opportunity, you know, as far as economic development, to bring, you know, some of the regional tournaments that occur. It'll make us marketable for that. So, you know, I appreciate your words there, Lori. I appreciate your support there. I think you're right about naysayers, but, you know, being in politics for so long, I learned that you're always going to have naysayers, you know, but you got to always think positive. You got to think positive. You got to think what's best for the future of your community. And I think this is a step that is in the best interest of our community.
I think a lot of it too is the amount. I mean, I spend $10,000 a year taking my kid outside the city to go to sports, and I'm sure So there's a lot of parents out there just like me that I'd rather stay here than go to Rocky Mount and take my money, hotel bill and everything else that needs to do it. Go to Myrtle Beach. It's expensive, and I think a lot can come back to the community, and that's what we have to look at.
I think we kind of guesstimated a little bit, staff, about what we could actually do as far as adding fields. I think we were looking at 5 full-length soccer, lacrosse fields, the baseball fields, what have you, would probably occupy no more than 100 acres of that property. You think that would be, is that a reasonable assumption? So, got a lot more left, again, future growth, we have to accommodate it. Because you find another place in Jacksonville where you're going to find that much property in one place. It's just not there. Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
When you were talking, Mr. LaCour was talking about the reallocation of funding, is that interest-bearing or non-interest-bearing?
Well, actually, we'd be borrowing from ourselves, so we don't charge ourselves interest on it. So. Non-interest loan from our general fund reserve. But it'll be a payback over, I think what we looked at, 5 years or less. So it's, we got the money as far as the sales of the property is concerned. And Mike also alluded to some of the other properties we have. When developers build a development, say for instance Branchwood, Carolina Forest, some of those, they actually have to donate land that goes to the city reserved for recreation purposes, like little neighborhood parks or whatever. But we're kind of trying to get away from some of that. And some of the land he's talking about that could possibly be resold are those types of properties. Also, we have some other property too that could be marketed. If anybody wants to buy that Onslow Insight that's across the street from the public safety building, we'll sell it, won't we? Just like that, won't we? It's been sitting there for about
Years.
Yeah.
at least 20 years now. So it's time to do something with that. Of course, as well as I do, I think at the time when it was purchased, I don't think realistically they looked at what actually could be accommodated on that small piece of property. It's not that big. But
I have one question. Do we have any records going back that far? Was anything ever there way back when? We don't have to worry about a little bug that is protected or.
On the property that was purchased.
Yeah.
We've done a complete
Okay.
assessment on that. We're very comfortable that it's developable property.
That's funny you should mention that, because I can recall when the land application site out there on Fire Tower was purchased years and years ago, it's about 30 years ago, when they went out there and started digging, guess what they ran into? Barrels of petroleum products buried in the ground. So you got to definitely do your due diligence to make sure that you don't run into spotted owls and that sort of thing.
The mayor also mentioned that we have Mr. Warden and Mr. Jackson, who are also on the committee with him. Mr. Jackson, comments?
No, I just think it's a great opportunity, for us as a city. Like, we know we've been needing the recreation fields and actually spaces. So I think it is really a great opportunity for our community. As the mayor said, for opening up the ability to have tournaments and stuff like Mr. Reddy Giovanni, say Lori, says, is that it's really difficult. It puts pressure on parents when you're playing Uber for your children all over the state, so we really look forward to having those type of facilities. And I know I talked to, I forgot, name slipped me, but a gentleman that actually, he's the coach, the swim coach for Jacksonville High School. I didn't even know Jacksonville High School had a swim team. So hopefully maybe we can work that out. But once we get in there and start turning the screws and start talking to others. And like the mayor said, we really look forward to your input. You know, you hear from the community, and, you know, people reach out to you, our citizens reach out to you. So hopefully as we go forward, we will have naysayers, you know, but this is a great thing. And anybody that grew up here, we really understand that it's a great opportunity. We rather have our children on these fields than getting into other trouble. And we know Mike and Kendrick and even Homer grew up around here, knew that it was better for us to be in recreation to be in any other trouble for children. So I'm really looking forward to the future of Jacksonville and the growth, and probably working with our other partners to be able to bring various things to the community.
I know that you've just gotten started, but do we have any type of timeline that you're looking at? I mean, a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, and to when any fields or anything may be opening?
I think that's something that we are going to have to do, is create a master plan for that property. I mean, that would be the prudent thing to do, and that'll probably be one of the first things that we look into, besides crossing the wetlands before the permit expires.
Yeah, the plan is to create the plan.
Has there been any thought of discussions with the base as far as working with perhaps Marine Corps Community Services and their sports? I know that they're running out of space for their sports as well as the base is being built upon. Is that a thought?
I guess it would be great for the whole
Right
community.
now, I
to
know
talk.
that they,
It's out of the question
Yeah, I
of
don't-
being
yeah.
involved in the discussion.
Yeah.
We have a very, as you know, Yolanda, we have a very, very good relationship with the commands on base, and I'm just now getting to know General Nebel, and he's a very community-oriented person that's taken over the Marines Installation East Command, so.
the Jacksonville High School does do their swimming on base.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
That's what the swim coach told me.
And, you know, the base is always willing to open their doors for you.
Right, so, you know,
So a
the
pool-
reciprocity would be great over time to have this type of conversation, so.
And I don't think it'd be out of the question that eventually the schools would actually build a pool too at some point, you know, and it may be sooner than we think. I don't want to make their decisions for them, but I think
Good
it'd be
idea.
something. Thank you, folks.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
So we're going to move on now, and Dr. Woodruff, did you have anything else?
The mayor, he has another meeting that he has to go to for 7. So do you have any other comments or questions that you may have for the mayor on any issues?
By all means, please, ask me. I love questions.
Date that we actually start the committee meeting.
14th of December. 14th of December.
So.
That'll be the first committee meeting.
All right, Mayor, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Enjoy sitting in on your meeting.
Thank you, Mayor. So I guess it's my turn for my reports, and obviously I couldn't be more thrilled to follow up such great news. I'll just say that on behalf of obviously myself and I think Michael and my staff, we're thrilled at this opportunity. So I really appreciate the mayor and council for their wonderful visioning on this, because it will make a huge difference. So I just had to put that out there because it sings straight to my heart to be able to provide these opportunities. So in any case, I will say that we touched upon it, the programming and the need for facilities. I'm thrilled to tell you that our basketball program has actually hit our pre-COVID numbers. So we have 56 youth teams in our basketball program. So we hit a low, obviously, during COVID last year, but we are now at our pre-COVID numbers. So we are thrilled that we are operating in every school in the city. Well, I shouldn't say every school, but the middle schools, we're in there practicing, having games everywhere we can, and in the commons, we'll be very, 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 very busy. So we're happy to be doing that and keeping all of our kids safe while they come in the building, and moving forward with all of our parents. And hopefully it's a good sign for our spring sports and our adult sports and. So youth sports, It's a good thing, so we're happy about that. Other than that, I do have some, Winterfest news for you. We do have a weekend full of activities planned. It will look a little bit different this year for a couple of reasons, but the same thing we've had typically in years past is the artisan market. It's at the Commons. It will start on Friday night and go through Sunday, so I encourage anybody to, they encourage everybody to shop local, your local business owners. I would even take that a step with this one. And these are all handcrafted. These are all your local artisans that have booths at this event. Nothing is mass produced or, done anything outside of what our artisans can do in this state and around the state. So we're thrilled that we can showcase some of that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I encourage everybody to come shop. A little different for us this year. It is technically our Jacksonville's Winterfest. We are calling it our Family Fun Festival. You'll see a couple of changes this year. One is it is at the Commons for a couple of reasons. We've moved it because of the work Michael spoke of down at Riverwalk Park. That's one reason. We also moved it because it's a little bit easier to control for COVID challenges. And then three, the other reason we moved it is because we are not able to secure our snow vendor this year. So if you're watching and you're catching wind of this, I'm waiting for it to, people to realize that we are not going to have snow. It's a huge, popular event at our typical Winterfest, but unfortunately the vendor is, I don't want to say he's a COVID casualty, but apparently they did not survive COVID. So the business vendor, and unless anybody's out there, picking up, we're trying to find we're looking at all of our options for that snowmaking equipment. So it might be that we can do it or we find another vendor, but trust me when I say we are really working hard to be able to provide that snow moving forward. But for this year, this period of time, it looks a little bit different. It's going to be at the Commons. It's still fun, still lots of activities, lots of programs, a little bit more of crafts and Santa's workshop activities, but it will be at the Commons from 11 to 4. So it'll be nice that we can also tag team in the same location for the artisan market. So we're hoping to give, folks an opportunity to shop and then come enjoy activities. And also we've done several gingerbread workshops. Those are really popular. So we're adding a few of those. And we are also planning our tree lighting ceremony, beautiful tree downtown at the end of LP Willingham Park. That will be on the Tuesday after council meeting on the 7th, and it will be at 6:30. So if you're welcome to come down and partake in that. We obviously would love for you to come do that. If not, watch us. It'll be beautiful. And if you don't do that, drive by the park anytime afterwards and you'll see the beautiful lights that Michael and his crew does such a great job of getting us in the festive spirit for. So we're busy with our winter events. And so, yeah, basketball and special events. And that's pretty much it for us until we hit the new year and a whole slate of things. Any questions on any of that? Or anything else? I wanted to give one update on Jack Amyette, and that is it is actively, it's an active construction site. I was there for a meeting on Friday. They're doing lots of work, lots of things moving, and they are finding some challenges, but we're working through those as typical construction site. But we are thrilled that things are progressing, and certainly when we have more to share with you as far as a timeline goes, we'll do that. Some things are a little bit slow. I think the roof is a little slow in getting to us, but it's all going to come together, and it'll be wonderful that we can have basketball in there as well as the Commons moving forward. So all good things happening. I think, Mr. Rogers, did you have a question?
With
Yes, sir.
basketball season this
Yes.
year, will the public be able to come in and see the games?
Yes, actually, that's a great question. I don't know if any of you were aware of last year in our COVID protocols, but we had this lighting system and we lit up the front of the building to let parents know they could come in, and then they had to come out the one. Anyways, we are much more relaxed. We're not safe, but our methods, anybody can come in the building as long as they're masked. The public is welcome to come in, and we'll have bleachers open, so there's plenty of room for social distancing. But we would love to have everybody come in and show support for those kids that are playing out on the court. So good question. Thank you. Any other questions with anything else, youth or otherwise?
If I may, then let me update you on a couple of things. Talking about Jack Amyette, as you know, we tore down the gym. The front part, one-story building remains. In the last week, we have discovered a significant amount of foundation issue. We are currently analyzing that and may come back to the city council and actually inform them that the best thing to do is even tear that part down and start over. We hope that's not the outcome, but we can tell you that from the initial analysis, there is substantial failure in the foundation on the front third of that building, meaning the third closest to the street. That will have to be determined. We have structural engineers, architects working to let us know, and then we'll be informing city council. Second thing, relative to coming into the buildings, the school board has the same clientele that we have for most of our programs. And we found this past week, Susan brought to my attention, that the school board has voted to go mask optional. It doesn't make sense for us to have one set of rules and the school board to have another. So when this was brought to my attention, as the manager, it's my responsibility and technically my authority to decide these things. So we have now decided that we will be mask optional whenever the school board is mask optional. As was pointed out to me, when children sit side by side for 6 hours and can either wear a mask or not, but they come into an after-school program for an hour and a half and must wear a mask, that defies common sense. So we're leaving it up to the parents. If the school board changes their mind, my understanding is that every month the school board will monitor and make that decision. So if the school board at their next meeting decides mask are mandatory, we'll go back to mandatory. If they decide they're going to stay mask optional, then we will stay mask optional. It just makes it so much easier in life to have one set of rules rather than walk into this door and have one set of rules, walk into another door, have another set of rules. I hope you can understand why we're doing that. From a management standpoint, any questions that you have overall, let me also make one, while you're thinking about those questions, let me make one other statement. You and the city council are to be commended for the fact that the last 10 years, you have caught up. What do I mean by that? If you look back 10 to 12 years ago, the condition of most, not all, but most of our parks, it was not what you would be proud of. We spent the last 10 years catching up. And that's why we as a management team and the city council is very comfortable moving forward now with this major purchase. We certainly have challenges. Every park still has things that need to be fixed. But we spent the last 10 years fixing them. Let's talk about one thing that we're going to change in this year's CIP as it's approved, Capital Improvement Program. We had planned on redoing the bathrooms on the ball field side of Northeast Creek. After you adopted the master plan and the city council adopted the master plan, you'll recall that we're talking about the ball field side, just basically a complete redo. It doesn't make sense for us to spend money on bathrooms that we believe in the next 4 or 5 years you're going to tear down. So we're moving the money that's in this year's capital improvement program for upfitting the bathrooms on the ball field side over to the playground side so that we can completely finish that side of the park. So you will see that coming before City Council. I don't know whether it's on the April 7th agenda or whether it be in January, but you will see that change in that capital improvement schedule. Now with that, any other questions?
I noticed we demoed the building. Any other update? Because I
Yes,
missed
ma'am.
my chance to go bulldoze.
Jacksonville Landing, as you know, is the home of now the fishing tournaments of the New River. This past week, the city staff tore that down. We are in the process and have applied for a federal grant for $750,000. We have come up with a final design, and hopefully within the next 60 days, we'll find out about that grant, and then we'll be building a welcome center. We also hope to introduce the concept of a new fountain, just as we have a Freedom Fountain next door here. I think it would be great when you come in from that side of town to have a beautiful fountain at night that would be part of the Welcome Center. Now, obviously, that's just the staff's vision at this point. Mr. Jackson and his counterparts have not weighed in on that. It certainly would not be a fountain that would compete with the Freedom Fountain. It would be a completely different theme. But we do hope that within the next 60 days, we'll know about the grant, and hopefully by, let's say, springtime, we might have a building under construction for a welcome center there at Jacksonville Landing. Sir?
The update on the transportation center, did I see doors, or did somebody just paint the cardboard very creatively?
Actually, you've probably been by there more what am I trying to say? You've probably been by there since I was by there. So I have not seen any cardboard cutouts or real doors.
Okay.
But one of the holdups on the Jacksonville Transit station is the fact that some of the doors are still back ordered. We do anticipate paving, though, within the next 10 days. So it's getting close. Thank you.
All righty. Next, we have our council liaison report.
No need to echo things that's been said. We're moving into the seasons of being thankful and for expressing love beyond what we've been expressing. Please keep in mind those that are less fortunate. You know, we're dealing with the whole issue of town center, and keep those folks in your prayers. Keep our men and women abroad and locally that's in the military in your prayers. And I thank you for what you've been doing the entire year and beyond. Like you said, the city manager mentioned, we're moving right along in terms of moving forward as a city in terms of our recreation, and it's a great thing. You know, it's a great thing. Keep working. We all keep working together for a better Jacksonville. That's it.
Thank you, sir. All righty. Next, we have our Planning Advisory Board Liaison Report.
Yes, sir. I've got my copies of my minutes. I know in August, I might have reported on this before, that we met and talked about permitting allowance for use of the old fire station on Barn Street as a maintenance facility. Also, rezoning the back of River of Life so it was more consistent. It was a split zone, so now you can have its commercial corridor. Now, it was high density. Now we changed it to so that it matches the front half of that. In September, basically, we looked at redefining how we allow self-storage buildings to be built, so that you can actually have, you can see the doors from the road, but if you go down toward Wilmington, you'll notice you see an entirely different kind of self-storage building. I mean, my wife, as we drive down there, my wife looks at them and she wants to go look, even though we don't have stuff to store there. She just thought they were such nice looking buildings because you've got the glass front, and then when you look inside, you see the storage door. So it's a whole different thing, and by relaxing our standards somewhat, we're allowing that to happen here, so in some of our self-storage. And also to facilitate whatever the county decides to do with the senior center, we allow the senior citizen center to be in different other zones other than just one place. So we relaxed a few requirements there, just in case they were to get the old River of Life property. And I will echo what Lori said. I am a product of Onslow County and Jacksonville's recreation, and I grew up in a neighborhood where if you were not playing Little League ball, you were usually in trouble. And I knew almost every child that was able to pick up a ball and run and throw. If they were 13 years and younger, I knew who they were because they were on one of our teams. And as long as we could keep the kids doing something, yes, when they got to be 16, they started driving and they got in a little more trouble, but also the kids we kept busy with athletics tended to stay out of trouble a lot better. So I do think it's a good investment to be able to have places for our children to practice. And I don't have children. I don't have grandchildren. So I'm one of those old people that used to sit there and go, well, I don't have any kids. Oh, why's my money? Well, I don't have kids either, but yeah, you can have my money and use it for those things. And I do pay taxes like everyone else, and I think it's a wise use of tax dollars.
Thank you.
Got my support. Oh, forgot to mention, we finished our voting districts and that was all approved. Correct? So we're good to go.
Good deal. All righty. Next, we have our member comments and park reports. First, we have Mr. Ross.
Wooten Park looked great, water fountain, the equipment, everything was neat. I think the staff deserves a lot of credit. I went out there a month ago and the fire ants, the mounds were terrible, and went out there last week and didn't see any. So hats off to them, took care of it, so at least temporarily. So, but I thought the park was in excellent shape.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, next we have Lori.
Richard Gray looked great. It's great seeing that place out there, a little bit more active a couple weeks ago than it was this past. Jack Emiette, I was going to kudos what you'd said, that the fence is up since I mentioned it last time. To me, it's secure as much as it can as a construction site. The signage is clear and concise very well. I know the water fountain wasn't using the one time, so I think it's probably turned off for construction purposes. So that's done. Just a couple of comments. I know Mike said it earlier before, but kudos to the staff. I don't think the public realizes how much hundreds of acres that we cover, or the amount of roadway you have to cover in the short time period that we have to do it in. And so for them to go ahead and put the Christmas lights up, I think it's a great opportunity for us to do that. Plus, you never know what weather is, and why put off for tomorrow when we can get it done today. So kudos to your staff, and it's dangerous. You have to do it a certain time. So, and then the last thing, just our youth council. Do we still have one, right, for the city? We might want to look at their input for the future, or give them a task to see what they would like for those acreages out there.
I actually talked to Pam Trapp about that and other issues where we can have their input.
So, and I know my daughter's going to yell at me because I didn't say anything about a volleyball complex. So there, I just covered myself. That's it, sir.
Right. Mr. Springs, you next.
Sherwood Forest, I'm always, well, I said this in my written report, but I'll say it publicly. The surface on the playground, the black rubber surface is top notch. I love it, love it, love it. And I can't wait for it to be everywhere, but that certainly does look nice. The grassy area was used quite a bit for people throwing frisbees with their dogs. I didn't venture far enough past the picnic area to see a little bit there, but didn't look like we had as many problems with the trees, so we've done a pretty good job picking up whatever trees, because a lot of times we have a lot of trees down there and they'll fall in that area, and so staff has done a pretty good job of picking those up and making sure they're out of the way. Branchwood, I'm always amazed that there are people back in the very back part of Branchwood, back on those playground equipment, and I can say one thing that we learned firsthand, that if you want to see how passionate people get about recreation, just decide you're going to take one of those parks out. And then they'll come out of the woodwork to tell you how much they use them. And so we learned a lesson from that, it actually helps us in our planning process for what we tend to do now. So even though those are both what we call neighborhood parks, they are vital to that area. That's it for me.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hinkle?
Northeast Creek, the area behind the playground, you guys went through there with a bush hog or something and got all that, I don't know, that brush and stuff that were back there in the trees? Makes it look great.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the dog loves it now because there's new stuff to sniff on. So shit like that. And over in the, I don't know, one corner back there, there's a whole bunch of yellow caution tape. So I don't know what that's about. You any idea?
I'm not sure which corner are you, if I'm in the parking lot, left corner, right corner?
So if you look at the playground, it's over on the
left side, in the back.
I'll have to look at that. It may be something to do with the power lines, actually. They may be something to do with the trees near the power lines.
Tell you, I'm
I'll
walking
check
all
on
around
it
it.
tomorrow, though.
Couldn't see anything going on. And then over on the other side where the lagoons used to be, which are all filled in, so there's a big old long line of white spray paint that goes down one side and then up the other side with a bunch of white surveyor's flags all along it. So it's like, what's this? Any idea?
I'm not sure what that is.
No.
But anyway, somebody used a lot of spray paint.
Does it look like they lined it out for some sort of practice? We don't know of any groups out there doing anything, so
You
I'm
know,
just curious.
one thing about that area we've been working on is leveling it out. And I'm sure you've seen us over there from time to time bringing some, when the city has excess dirt.
Oh, yeah.
And we level it out. And we've been able to maintain that area a little bit better in the past year than we ever have been. Before, maybe somebody might have laid something out there. I'm comfortable. It has nothing to do with disc golf.
No, definitely not disc
No,
golf.
I couldn't tell you. It was just,
Check on it.
I was looking and I'm like, that's a
check
lot of
on it.
spray paint. I mean, it's easily 100 yards long.
Wow.
So, and then all the little white surveyor's flags. So it's like, I wonder what's going on. And then, so it gets dark a lot earlier now, but that does not keep people off the playground equipment. So there's a street light on one side of the playground, but the other street light's way over in the trees. Any chance of moving it over to the other side of the playground?
We can look at that.
Yeah, 'cause I think it was over by where the other equipment used to be, you know, before we put the new stuff in. Because I just noticed that when I was walking the dog, and I'm like, huh, dark on this side, light on that side. So. And then last weekend, the place was packed. They were having some sort of disc golf tournament or something like that. And then the playground was just overflowing with the kids because the weather was good on Sunday.
How awesome is that?
Well, every Sunday when the weather's nice, it's like that.
That's awesome.
And then that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Looks great. It's, the team that had been out there, they weren't out there when I came by this time, but the place was clean, everything's in working condition, it looked great. Northwoods, thank you so much for filling in those little spaces on the turf out there. They're completely filled in. Everything looked really good.
Thanks for making me aware. I mean, you know.
It looked really good. No more little fingers prying that up.
Right.
And just one comment I'd like to make about the property that was purchased. I would, and this is a personal thing, I guess, think about some of these large races that they do, like the Spartan, Rugged, things like that. I know that we travel up to Fayetteville every year for the Spartan, and it would be nice to have it here in Jacksonville. And that just needs property. They come in and they build their own
Track.
yes, their own obstacles, and they bring them in and they take them out. So that's something that you may be able to start earning money right away.
All right, I guess I'm next. Georgetown Park, look really, really good. I noticed that the water fountain is working. And it might have been me the last time. I didn't press the button hard enough or long enough.
I think what happened there is we had a hard freeze and I think somebody got nervous and shut the.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes we will shut the water off so the lines don't break. And I think that's what actually, you had great timing.
But the park, it looked really, really nice. And the one thing I did notice, like on some of the workout equipment around the track area,
Cushions.
we manage that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the cushions on it.
Scott actually was talking, it's funny that you're bringing that up. We talked about this last week and he's ordering some new cushions.
Really?
Actually. Yes.
Good. Okay,
Thank you for
good
bringing
deal.
that up. But yeah, we are.
No problem. But yeah, other than that, everything looks good out there. Sturgeon City Park looked really nice. I noticed there was quite a few people out there. Was this past weekend? Yeah, and there were some people had a picnic on the hill up there, and it's
Awesome.
it really gets used. That park really gets used. So, but that's it. Both parks look really good, and kudos to your staff because
Thank you
the
so
grass there and this looks good. All right, Joe's not here. All right, Reggie.
As I leave in the mornings, as I live right down the street from where you work, your guys are going to work and they're always just doing a great job cleaning and all other tasks that they do. There is one thing in the Commons Park next to the old skateboard park there. The glass around the poles for the lights, I noticed that several of them are,
The globes.
yes,
We call them globes, yes.
not attached, and it's a potential safety hazard in the wind or rain.
We'll address that tomorrow. Or we'll have the power companies address it.
Okay. And Phillips Park, it is Phillips Park. I go by there some days, going to work, and I see people still use it. They use it, you know, I guess because a lot of people don't use it. That's why they go there. And to add on to this future softball field, there's a mayor in Iowa who years ago everyone laughed at when he built a facility similar to this. And it's soccer fields, lacrosse fields, the very same thing you're doing. And the tourism money that came in from that was astronomical and beyond what he thought it would be. So now they have tournaments all the time there.
Sure.
For that.
It's a destination.
And if I can remember the name of the town, I'll send it to you so you can look the story up yourself.
Please.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. All righty, next we have One City Moment.
All right, this is on me. Oh, wait, no, this isn't one before that. This is, I guess we've been getting a lot of public questions. Mike and his crew do such a beautiful job, and Jason with the landscaping. So the beautiful flowers out front of the fountain are.
Right, the red flowers that, we have received at least 20 phone calls. They're called celosia, and it's a dragon's breath. It's, you can get it in different colors. This is the burgundy. We thought the burgundy, and Jason Smith, actually, our park maintenance supervisor, who's also our horticulturalist, he picked this color, which is the burgundy. And obviously, he picked a good color because I will tell you, we have received many calls about this, and as well as postings on Twitter and Facebook, and people have responded to it, and we just thought it'd be a good idea to share it with anybody that was watching. That's what that is, if you're interested in it, and, you know.
Pretty neat.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of, sorry, did I jump ahead? No. Okay. Oh, sorry. Let me keep going. Sorry. Okay, here we go. Had the pleasure this past Saturday was our holiday parade. We didn't have one last year because of COVID. So again, it's just nice to do some things that are back into the realm of normalcy. So we had a beautiful float. Parks always does a great job of decorating a large truck, and we follow behind. So the park staff is up front. You don't see all of them, but there's a bunch of them that are walking, and then the truck, and then my folks on the float behind it. But it was just a beautiful Saturday. My folks were the chipmunk. The theme this year was rock and roll Christmas, so they were the chipmunks and the chipettes. So they had a good time with it. So we had the chipettes, and we just had a great time with it. And we always enjoy doing things with other city departments, and then obviously the bands that you hear. It was just a really nice. It was just a nice day for it. We just had a really good time. So yeah, it was a huge turnout, I have to say. This is probably our 7th year of doing the parade, and it was a large crowd. People came out. They really did, and it was just, again, it just does my heart good to see it. So we had a good time. I was not a chiphead, I just walk along the float, for the record. But again, it was a great Saturday. This is just a snapshot of a few folks, but the city does a great job with other people. And really, the community came out in droves. Either you were in the float or in the parade, or you were on the sidelines watching. But it was a great day. It was a beautiful Saturday. So that's it for our One City moment.
Righty. Thank you. And I must say, yeah, the parade was well attended. It really was. All righty. So the next meeting, January 24th, so that's the new year. So, I'd like to say, I'd like everybody have a safe holidays. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second. All righty.